After the stunning success of the German airborne troops using assault gliders in May of 1940, the German Air Force wanted an even bigger glider in its arsenal. The requirement was for a glider capable of carrying 20 fully laden troops or the equivalent cargo. The Gotha Wagenfabrik, a German manufacturer of rolling stock established in the late 19th century, responded with such an aircraft in the form of the Gotha GO242. The aircraft was a high-wing monoplane with a simple, square-section fuselage ending in clamshell doors used to load cargo. The flight characteristics of the design were much better than those of the earlier German gliders. Series production of the GO242 started in the middle of 1941, and the first aircraft were delivered in August of 1941. The last deliveries took place in July of 1944, and a total of approximately 1,500 were built. The aircraft was capable of hauling 20 combat-ready troops. The assault glider version could be equipped with 4 7.92mm MG-15 machine guns for self-defense or to provide covering fire for the paratroopers. The cargo version of the glider featured a rear fuselage loading ramp that could accommodate small vehicles such as a Kübelwagen or loads of similar size and weight. For example, light field guns and anti-tank guns. This means that a mixed force of GO242 assault and cargo glider squadrons could land a small army behind enemy lines to attack and then protect vital installations like airfields or oil refineries. For example, they could have been used in a surprise attack to take the Grozny airfield and oil refinery and wait for the tanks of the 1st Panzer Army to arrive in the autumn of 1942. But the gliders were never used as assault gliders during the war. In service, they were towed into the air by Heinkel 111s or Junkers Ju-52s. It is important to note that the Heinkel 111Z Zwilling or Twin, a design that mated 2 Heinkel 111s and which was originally conceived to tow a large Messerschmitt 321 glider, could also tow 1 or even 2 GO242 gliders for up to 10 hours at cruising speed. This fact means that strategic targets deep behind the front line could have been attacked as well. The Heinkel 111Z was to have been used in an invasion of Malta in the summer of 1942 and as part of an airborne assault on the Soviet cities of Astrakhan and Baku in the same year. But none of these plans was realized. The GO242 was tested with various rockets for overloaded takeoffs. A rack of 4 rockets mounted on the rear of the cargo compartment was tested but not used operationally. In the spring of 1942, a motorized version of the glider also appeared, which was named Gotha GO244. Studies for powered versions began early in the design of the glider, with one early proposal being for modification to allow a single engine to be temporarily attached to the nose of the glider to allow recovery back to the base after use. This idea was rejected, but the alternative of a permanently powered twin-engined version was taken forward. After the fall of France, the German army came across large stocks of 700 horsepower 14-cylinder engines. It was decided to use these engines to power the Ju-242 glider, and the modification also added a tricycle undercarriage. The German designers, by doing this, hoped that they would be able to increase the efficiency as well as the airframe's operational versatility. However, it turned out that these engines were too underpowered. After the invasion of the Soviet Union in June of 1941, the Germans captured large stocks of 750 horsepower Svetsov M25 radial engines, but they were just as underpowered as the French ones. Altogether, 133 were converted from the original glider airframe, and 43 aircraft were produced until November of 1942. Already in March of 1942, 2 Luftwaffe transport squadrons were re-equipped with Ju-244 aircraft. The first examples of the Ju-244 were delivered to operational units in Greece in March of 1942. Some were also assigned to transport wings in the Eastern Front, but they proved vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire and were withdrawn, being replaced by Juncker's Ju-52 aircraft. The experience of using this aircraft on the Eastern Front and other theaters of operations was considered unsuccessful. There was insufficient engine power, problems with spare parts for French engines, and low flight speed. As a result, the Ju-244s were sent to flight schools to train pilots. Decommissioned Ju-244 aircraft were also transferred to training centers for training the paratroopers. It's interesting to note that a few gliders, the Ju-242C1 variant, were constructed with a flying boat-style hull, allowing water landings. It was proposed that some carry a small assault boat with an explosive charge suspended between its hulls. The proposed mission profile was for the pilot to land near an enemy ship and transfer to the assault boat, setting off at high speed for enemy ship and locking the controls before bailing out. But no such sabotage missions were carried out until the end of the war.